Welcome to Whiskey Wednesday. We drink the finest whiskey and we talk about the internet's most important topics.
It's true.
That's what's happening.
Today, that important topic is actually going to be a little different. We're not going to argue something today.
There's no arguments happening.
We're going to do a Whiskey Wednesday review.
Whiskey Wednesday review.
Whiskey Wednesday reviews. Today, we are going to be talking about gun belts, specifically core essentials belts. So, if this is your first Whiskey Wednesday, we typically do a debate and we do a little whiskey review and that sort of thing. Today, again, we're gonna change things up a little bit here,
trying out new things,
and do some new things. So, with things being different, I did want to do something different with our whiskey, and this is also our 16th episode, our Sweet 16.
It is.
So I came across the ever epic Lagavulin 16, which we all know
is a very good whiskey.
Yeah, it is Scotch whiskey, and it is the Ron Swanson.
The Ron Swanson.
Ron Swanson favorite. And
should be called Very Good Whiskey Company.
We all love Ron Swanson, so yeah. Now, I admittedly am not much of a Scotch guy.
I'm kind of excited.
And I did open this. I couldn't wait to.
I'm so excited. Oh, you've already had a sip.
I had a little sip. It's been opened.
Greg can never wait.
I can't wait.
For this, ever.
Yeah, so.
Don't blame him.
We're not really going to dig too much into this since this is a review video. We don't want to make you guys muddle through a bunch of whiskey stuff.
But Ron Swanson.
After we're done with our review, we might just hang out for a few minutes, kind of talk about what we think about this, because it is very different from
Before I take a drink,
what we usually have. Our
review is going to involve a firearm. So I'm going to go ahead and clear that while I'm nice and sober. Yeah. No mag.
I already cleared it.
But. Hammer down. There we go. So it's clear. We won't be pointing that at each other anyways. We'll probably just leave it in the holster, but just in case, it's clear.
Just so you guys know, we are consuming. We have a completely clear firearm, no ammo in this side of the building.
This side of the building.
Yeah.
So
we're good to go. So I'm going to sip this before we start talking about it.
Smells really interesting. So I won't get too much into this, but it's a sweeter smell than I expected.
Is it? So.
Ooh. So I don't think I'm a Scotch guy.
It is. I'm a bourbon guy.
Yeah.
Love bourbon. That's kind of what I've shoved in your mouth for the last.
That's gross.
What, that I've been shoving things in your mouth?
Yeah, that's kind of what he presented to me to drink at my own free will.
I've been presenting bourbon to you for the better part of the last 3 or 4 months or so. Yeah. This is our first Scotch.
I'm gonna be honest, not high on my list.
No?
This is
one of the best you can get too.
If I'm getting a rating, this is a 2.
Wow.
It's bad, dude. It's like drinking acid.
It's not bad. Come on.
It's not good. In no way is this good.
I'll give it to Nate because I know he loves it. You don't want it.
Oh.
Wow.
All right, hard pass. Let's move on to the belts.
All right, so let's talk about belts here. You're angering all the Scotch guys.
Get over it, okay? Everyone has a preference.
So I think before we get into the actual core belt, let's establish first off.
Yeah.
Why somebody needs a gun belt.
Okay.
So ever since we came out with the Alias system last year, our system marries up with belts, and it's a pretty common question that we get. Hey, is this going to work with such and such belt? And I'll be honest, surprised. I've been amazed how frequently it's somebody that has a cheap floppy leather belt,
right,
from Walmart, and they want to put in, and then they're surprised to find out when I don't recommend that they use that. Just in general, whether it's Alias or not. I
think part of that is when they do come for Alias, they know something's missing, and they're looking for that oomph to make their carrying experience a little better. And I think the reason why they're always asking you, can I use it with this? And what they don't realize is this is the foundation of carrying. This is literally it. So
your belt is going to have a lot to do with the comfort and reliability and consistency of your carry.
This is not a gun belt.
No. That is, I think I bought that at Kohl's probably 20 years ago.
And one thing you'll notice here, I'm going to even move it a little closer so you can see it. Whenever tension's taken off of this, it just doesn't really hold up anything.
There's no support.
that kind of brings us to our first point
so
in what you need a gun belt for.
The number one reason why you need a gun belt if you carry is for support of your holster. You have several pounds of metal hanging on your belt. Your pants aren't really going to give it support. And the only other way that you're going to gain support with a holster like this is to wrench it tight. And
and you've got to it's so uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable, and that's one of the first things that people who buy a gun belt realize is, oh, I can actually have my belt loose and still get support.
Yep. And if you do it like this, right, and it's not wrench tight, what ends up happening is your holster can do this. It can do up and down,
twist and flop. Yeah, I mean,
and then it also the clip doesn't fit on it super well. So then you end up with when you draw. The worst thing that happens is it goes up over the edge of the gun belt, and then you pull your holster right off.
Yeah, so that was actually my third point.
Oh, am I jumping the gun?
Well, no, actually that's 2 and 3. Yeah. So my second point is it keeps a holster in place better, right? So it's not, like you were showing, it's not going to flop around and move around. And then the last thing is the thickness of the belt is also an important thing to note. And most tactical belts are about a 1/4 inch thick.
Yes.
If not, just to be technical, just a hair under. That thickness is going to help, like you said, the clip stay clipped over your belt and not come off. I've seen, I don't know how many times, somebody, usually new to a class, it's recently bought a gun and holster and stuff, go to draw and the whole holster comes out. The only way that happens is that the clip of the holster doesn't bite on the belt.
Doesn't bite on the belt, yeah.
So when we were going through some of the R&D with the Alias, we bought a whole bunch of belts to test. I asked people on social media, what belt are you guys wearing? Core was one of the main ones, so I bought one of the belts. And thankfully, the Alias works on Core belts really well. The brackets just fit nice and snug on it. Their belts are very consistent and everything. So we've really fallen in love with Core belts, and that's the reason why Core belt is the first belt that we've decided to stock on our website. So
it's in our store.
Yeah. So with that said, this is something that's tested and true with us. We've been using in classes. We've been using daily. I've been carrying with this belt daily for about a year now, and I really do love this belt. So, and there are other great belts that we will get to as well, but today.
That's right. This is Greg's personal favorite.
Yep. All right. So let's talk about some of the key features of a Core belt. I grabbed this off our shelf.
Now, before he gets into this too much, this belt is cool. There's good. It's a good belt, but it is a cool belt. It's completely unique in the market.
It's got some neat features, and we're gonna go over those neat features. The first one is, and I will get a close up here, but there are 3 layers to this belt. Now, gun belts in general are going to have 2 to 3 layers. Some belts have even a metal liner on the inside of the belt that, again, is going to flex this way around your body, but is extremely rigid
that way,
up and down.
Yeah.
Core Essentials on these belts uses a nylon web. It's a 500-pound nylon web outer. Then they have a reinforced power core center. That's their words. And if you look on the inside of this belt, you can see there's a plastic reinforcement layer in there. Then the last thing is there is a super fiber inner liner. And actually, one of the things I loved about this belt when we got it first is that the inside liner is kind of rubbery.
Yeah.
And with the Alias receiver, it kind of gives something a bite.
It doesn't move around so easily.
It stays on your body because the rubbery grippiness of that liner on the inside helps stick to your waistline a little bit.
So the next cool feature about the Core belts is their belt, what do you call it, buckle? The belt buckle system. So if you look at this buckle, it has a few cool things on it, and we'll talk about that later. But one of the biggest things that I think Greg loves about it is its ability to ratchet. Now, I've seen you do this. Well, after Greg eats a big meal, right, that ratchet, he just reaches down, pops this thing open, there's a little lever, and that will let him loosen his belt some. And then when he stands up, he'll reach down, grab it, and just go a little tighter, just to optimize how tight that belt is on you.
For some of us, a little more full-figured gentlemen, when we sit down, things like to expand a little bit. it's really nice to be able to push this lever and expand your belt out a little bit. It adjusts in 1/4 inch increments. So instead of like your standard belts that have holes every inch or something,
1.25 inch, whatever they are,
this gives you 1/4 inch increments to adjust in. So you can find the perfect fit.
And speaking of perfect fit, another great feature about the core belt is the fact that it's cut to size. So if you look on the back here, which Greg will get a close up of this for you, there is literally inch numbers on the back of here, and so you can find your belt size. You can kind of rough it out while it's on your body and say, yeah, this is the size that I want. This is how much overhang I want. You can really optimize it to fit your body perfectly. And then you just take, and for me, I use like trauma shears. For Greg, he uses a knife to cut it exactly the length that he wants. And then there's a little flip out toggle on the actual buckle itself that has like spikes on it. It's kind of menacing. You slide it over the belt, clamp it down, and it's in place, which allows you to mix and match your buckles with your belts. But this cutting system also allows something. If you're on a weight loss like regiment, well, guess what? You can just continue to cut your belt down as you lose weight. You don't have to keep buying new gun belts every single time you lose weight.
And then if you want a new belt, so when I first bought my first core belt, I got 2 belts, 1 buckle.
Right.
So I got like a brown belt and a black belt, and I wanted to be able to change them out with the same buckle. Right now, we carry 2 different color nylon belts and this 1 buckle. We plan on expanding that later. If you're watching this a little bit later, hopefully we have more options for you on the website. But I mean, this is all metal construction, and it's very well built. And the typical belt is going to fit 24 inches to 54 inches, and they do have another option if you're bigger than that and you need a longer belt. Then you can order that from their website. We do not have those in stock for us right now. So I think a couple other things to note. I do want to be transparent in that the belt does say "Made in China" on it.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
Yep.
These days, sometimes trying to get things like this made in the U.S., unfortunately, guys, is extremely difficult to do.
This would be a $250 belt.
Yeah. So MSRP is $60 for belt, buckle.
It's kind of the last benefit of core is that they're really the same price as a normal belt.
Yeah, you get the strength and modularity of this.
So you can go to Kohl's and you can buy yourself this belt, which is also probably made in China or Taiwan, and it's wimpy and trashy, and it's going to cost you probably 40-something bucks. Or you can buy a core belt. It's going to cost you 60. We might actually be able to help them out with that eventually here. Because we're running some sales on it here soon. But you can buy a core belt. It's going to cost you 60 bucks. Your gun's going to be very secure, very stable. And you get to enjoy all these great features of a belt that has, quite frankly, a lot of engineering work put into it.
Yeah. And we met the guys, we met the owner, and some of the employees at SHOT Show this last year. Awesome pro-American people. It's just when it came to having to get things made, it just ended up not being an option for them to have things made in the U.S. So we do own and support some other belt companies that are fully made in the U.S. If that's something that you want to make sure that you do, then there are plenty of those. But all right, back to the core belt. So I want to show the Alias on core belts. This is the biggest question we get. So our Alias receiver has these steel belt brackets, and all you do is slide it over. You can see how nice and snug that receiver fits.
There's no wiggle.
No,
it's on there.
These fit so nice, and again, the rubber back, the grippy back, really helps with that receiver. And really, the black belt with the Alias receiver, you don't see anything from the outside. So yeah, go ahead and hook that in there. Let's show.
I'm gonna click this in.
How nice and.
Hear that click? Yeah. That's the beauty of the Alias.
So here's, if you remember, look before at what we showed with our leather belt. I can fully support this. So imagine wearing this. You can tell how you don't need to have your belt extremely tight around your body. That this belt is going to support this. Core says that the belt is made to support up to 8 pounds. That is a lot of weight.
Yeah. Like if you're carrying an 8-pound gun, 8
pounds of stuff on your belt,
dude, get rid of your staccato with your giant light, with your extendo mags.
Probably a couple mags.
Yeah, like that's insane.
Handcuffs, all sorts of things. Which part of this is also to be able to use for for duty use.
Well, and
undercover
but
duty.
as a concealed carry guy, if your gun's 8 pounds, you need to take a look at your life and determine what you've been doing wrong.
Yeah, how much heavy stuff you need to carry. So we did want to make sure that we showed how nice and stable a gun is on this belt with the Alias. Again, just push that safety over and it comes out. So right now, this is the main belt that we recommend, that I like to recommend for the Alias. And yeah, we can't recommend this.
Just freaking sweet. I love this belt. I have 2 of them, which we don't carry the dress belts, but I do want to mention they have beautiful dress belts. Like they look like a premium quality leather, beautiful burnished edges. What's cool about them is they work well with the Alias, but they also look classy. Yeah. And I think that's important if you're going to be dressing up. You want to tuck in your gun well. You want A, not to have a giant clip over the front, but B, you want a belt that looks like you're trying to dress up. Yeah. And it's still rigid.
They have more dressy buckles if you want something not as tactical as this. They have more dressy. That's what I have.
Mine's silver.
I have like one dressy buckle, one tactical buckle, and then 4 belts that I'll change around.
Which we may consider carrying that in the future. But right now, for this time, we only have these black and... With black and what's the other color?
It's a brown tan.
It's a brown tan FDE kind of color, and it looks good with our typical line of clothing.
Yeah. So I mean, let's talk cons. If we're going to do a review, we need to make sure that we talk cons.
I have a few actually.
Yeah. What's your?
So the reason why this isn't my favorite belt on the market, and the reason why I don't use it every day, is as a smaller guy who doesn't have a waistline above, I have a 32 waist. One of the things that I found is that these belts like to be in circles. But my body is not a circle. My body is this like ovalish shape. And what happens, especially when you first put them on, and I've kind of worked this in to fit my body a little better, when you first put them on, you get a hula hooping feel. And I'm not a fan of that. I like the belt to flex to me a little more than this does in this direction. And so that's one of my biggest cons, is that these belts can have a tendency to hula hoop on oval-shaped bodies. So if you're that size, I would recommend looking into like a Blue Alpha belt. That's what I wear every day. And I haven't actually ran this kind. I always wear the dress belts. But I imagine that it's got the same core technology. Yeah,
the dress belts do have the same core technology. Yeah. I do feel like the dress belt is not as rigid as what the nylon belts are.
And I use the dress belts.
And if the dress belt to you is...
Then that would tell me that this might hula hoop a little more.
So to me, this is in the middle of... So a Blue Alpha belt is definitely a little more flexible than this. And then something like an Aries gear, which I used to wear for a long time. Aries to me is very stiff.
Yes.
And it's going to hula hoop a lot more. It's made for somebody who's a little rounder.
I do have a solution though. Have I told you my solution?
Yeah, you kind of squished it around.
So I put this in my closet. Basically, I ratcheted it to where it was. I took a little marker on it, and I could tell exactly where I needed it. Put it that way, and I put clothes over it. And I left it that way for a week. And when I came back, it was like this.
It will sort of break in.
And it broke in.
However, I've been wearing my belt for a year now. It's formed to me a little bit more, but I wouldn't say it's broken in. It's not loose or anything.
I had to kind of force it into that to make it my body shape. But if it's something that, if you're smaller like me, and you still want to run this belt because of its ratcheting system, which I love, that's a good choice for you.
I've seen a few other belts out. If you're somebody who wants a lot of flexibility with the belt, I don't know names, but I've seen some belts out there where there's just one stiff section where the holster goes.
I've seen those
and the rest is like really flexible.
Yeah.
I've not carried with one of those, but I've seen a few of them. Yeah. We've had 1 or 2 people come to the shop who wanted an Alias, who wore a belt like that, and it worked fine. Yeah. So that there are other belts out there that are more flexible with one stiff section for where your belt goes.
Absolutely.
I think that pretty much wraps up our feelings on core belts. Again, I really like this belt. Nate, our shop manager, loves his core belt. That's been his go-to. So. Some quick pros of this again. The stiffness and support from the 3 layers is huge. The ratcheting is really nice. The modularity of the buckles and belts is extremely well thought out and really well done. And then the kind of one size fits all purchase and then cut to size thing is really nice. And then lastly, probably I should have said the first thing is this belt works really well with the Alias. You will be extremely happy with how the Alias receiver works on the Core Essentials belts. Again, a couple of the cons, made in China. It's a con, but it's also kind of a pro if you want to save a lot of money on a belt.
Right. And
then also, the same thing that's a pro with the rigidity and strength of it can be a con depending on your body type. Mm-hmm. If you are shaped like a 2x4, it might not be super comfortable on you. If you got some hips on you,
your hips don't lie.
You can fill out your jeans and you should definitely look into getting a more supportive gun belt.
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. We carry this on our site. Sometimes we run sales on these. We have a specific sale in mind, but I would encourage you to just, down in the description below, there'll be a link. That link will take you to our email sign-up list. Greg, when he runs a sale, is gonna send you an email saying, hey, we're running a sale. And if you wanna snag a belt, maybe an Alias receiver, and you wanna catch them on sale, go ahead and sign up for our email list. We also have other products that go on sale there too, and we fill you in on new products that are coming out. We also put out some content. If you have trouble staying connected with us, you can sign up for our Discord list on there. There's a lot of things and a lot of perks to being on our email list. But the best part is we don't spam you. So remember that.
I think I do a really good job of making sure that we send regular emails, but that have quality content.
The quality, because we hate spam.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Yep.
Also, like and subscribe.
Definitely. So you really don't like the scotch, huh?
Oh my gosh, it's terrible, dude. I'm gonna try it one more time. It doesn't smell the worst, but it's not amazing. I hate it. It's so bad. It's not good. What is it? What is scotch?
So it's mostly malt.
I don't know what malt is.
And it's a grain. Mm-hmm. And the water they use is very peaty. Like, you know, it's Ireland, so it's Scotland. So the water is running through bogs and stuff, and so the water that they use has some characteristics.
I can taste that actually.
And then they actually use the peat as the fuel to burn, to heat things. So it gets flavored. Now, they actually, from what I understand about scotch, they actually use used American whiskey barrels to age, and this has been aged 16 years, so it's in that barrel for a long time.
I do taste a little bit of oak. I don't get much oak flavor.
No, there should be.
I mostly taste what I think is peat.
Yeah, it's
and peaty. I gotta say, it's not for me. I thought it was gonna be. I really was excited for this one. And one thing you have to realize is with alcohol comes a little training. You have to train yourself to like it. But man, my first impression, I still give it a 2 out of 10.
I've got another.
Would you buy it again?
Yeah, it's not a cheap bottle. It's $100 for a bottle.
Yeah.
It's not something. I'll be honest. I don't love it as much as a bourbon.
Okay.
I'm gonna go for a bourbon more than I am a scotch. I don't hate it. It's just I love the sweetness and oakiness of a bourbon.
Yeah.
You definitely don't get that sweetness. This is more peaty and oaky. I mean, I still taste a lot of oak, but it's not my go-to. However, like I said, I'm pretty green when it comes to scotches. There's one other scotch that I want to bring you that I think you'll actually be surprised that it's a scotch.
Okay.
It definitely.
I will accept this challenge.
It's a lot more bourbony, but it's a scotch.
This is pretty low on my list. I'm gonna try it one more time.
I mean, really, take a second to taste all the notes to it, and
I'm trying, guys. This is not working for me at all.
Well, Nate's gonna be happy to.
I'll give it to Nate. Nate'll appreciate it.
So, all right, guys, let us know what you think about our Whiskey Wednesday reviews. Let us know other products that you'd like to see us review, and we will hopefully be expanding on this platform. Not only debates, you'll see a debate next week.
Yep.
But we're going to kind of mix some of these things in.
We do have something special for you guys next week, and I'm going to give you a hint. He's not in it.
Yeah. It's probably why it's even better.
It's gonna get like so many views.
It might be your favorite one.
Thousands of views.
I'd recommend go and watch our video with Jared Clanton at the range, where we challenge a Grandmaster USPSA shooter to try to keep up with us at the range, and that's a really great video.
It is a pretty good video, actually.
I'd recommend that before the next episode when Dusty talks to Jared Clanton.
Because you're gonna want to like see what we're talking about.
Yep. All right, let's go back to work.
Sure. Sounds good.